Welcome to the Pop-Off with Gene FitzMagic and friends. Your daily sports and entertainment radio show, live all over the world. You're going to want to hear what these guys have to say. With their hot takes, recaps, previews, and predictions, sometimes these guys might get along, but most times, they won't. So see what happens when these guys pop off about the world of sports and entertainment.
Good afternoon, everybody. It is Thursday, June 22nd. This is the Pop-Off. I am Gene FitzMagic, joined by Caleeb Pinkett, Nigel Downer, and Abby Washington. How are you guys doing?
Oh, living the dream.
Actually got on a hat today.
She's challenging you, Nigel. She's actually challenging you.
No, it's just a stupid ball.
Can we see Caleb's shirt, though?
Yeah. Let's do that first.
Let's see Caleb's shirt. Best shirt in the business. We got to get those on our website for some sales. And we got another Raptors hat.
Yeah, kids, check this one out. This is a nice look at that little old school logo right there. So you got the nice silver stitching, right, backed up with that aggressive black. You know what I mean? Got the purple brim, got the light purple or the dark purple, on the back. You got your nice Michelin Nest. Shout out to them. They make great hats. And on the back, that hardwood classic logo with the baller man, you like that, in the two-tone purple. And, of course, the side pads. 15 years at this point when this Raptors thing was going on. So, you know what? I thought I'd wear a nice little one for draft night because we're talking about draft. So I was like, got to wear an old school, repping the Raptors hard. And got the Raptors above my heart right there. Here we go.
Well, I appreciate the fandom. I know we all got our teams that we love. And Abby's team made a big move. We talked about it last week. Do you want to, before we get started, do you want to talk about that trade since you didn't get a chance to be here on Tuesday to talk about it?
I mean, I kind of listened to you guys just a little. I mean, I think it's a good addition. The only problem is it doesn't add any depth to the roster at all. I think we still have a problem there. But yeah, I think now it's a matter of what are we going to do with Ayton? And I know we're going to kind of talk about the Suns later and we'll talk about draft night. So I'll probably mention it, but I think there's potential trades we can make. I know Kyle Kuzma is now available. So I think he'd be a great fit on the Suns, a good addition there. Sorry, my dog's barking. He's excited too. But yeah, I mean, I was happy about it, but now the Wizards are going to kind of fall apart. Stop it, Odin. So yeah, I'm excited about it. A good fit.
Odin's acting up over there.
I do feel bad because, they said Chris Paul didn't know what he didn't know he was going to be traded, kind of found out through his son. That's a little shady to me. But yeah, he said he found out through a text from his son. I don't know if you guys heard that. So
I didn't, but I mean, he's going to get blood out anyway. I don't think he's going to.
In my head, I'm like, the way the information was delivered, maybe a little shady, but I don't know why he's surprised that it happened. I mean, all the Suns fans kind of saw it coming. So,
I mean, for me, when I just paid you $60 million for 2 seasons and your ass played 30% of the time and 0% when I needed you, I don't need to text you. You're gone. You knew you was gone when that buzzer went. When we got beat and your ass wasn't playing, you knew you was on that bus. You might as well got on the bus with Jokic in them because you was on
Can you imagine?
Like, come on,
he's on the bus and just peeks his head up and he's like, "Hey, y'all need me? Y'all need a point guard?" And just disappears again. Like,
no. I told you. I'm like, yeah, he's the starting point guard for TNT.
Yeah, he's going to give Kenny Smith a run for his money, maybe. So let's talk a little bit about. Let's get into basketball first. Let's do that because we have a big night tonight, draft night. There's supposed to be a bunch of trades. There was one earlier that didn't. We actually don't have it in our thing, but we can talk about it for a few minutes. Did you guys hear about the trade with Porzingis and Marcus Smart? So we got that trade. Who do you think won that deal out of everyone? Tyus Jones also moving from
Celtics
from that trade, right?
They got 2 first rounders and Chris
Kristaps, which, listen, he's not what we thought he was coming over in the draft when he got here. I believe Durant used to call him the unicorn. He didn't really live up to that hype, but he's still a solid player.
This is his best season in years. This might have been the last season. Might have been his best season in his career, right?
Yeah.
So you're winning. You're winning. Like, you got him there where he's hyped and he's excited, and now he's coming to a team where he don't even really have to be that guy like that. Man.
Yeah. He could be the third or fourth guy on this team.
And 2 first rounders. Yo.
Kudos to the I'm blanking on the GM. He was a former coach from Butler, and the Celtic coach. Who is what's his name?
You talking about Brad?
Brad Stevens.
Yeah,
so Brad Stevens. Good job with what he's done over there.
Yeah, that's a fantastic trade. And I think Marcus Smart is going to be fantastic for the Grizzlies. I think that's what they need. Maybe he might be able to
leader.
Huh?
We were saying they need a gritty leader to kind of help keep everybody in check a little bit. He is definitely that. For Boston, he didn't mind telling the stars in Boston, Tatum and Brown, and even the coach, what he thought might have been right or wrong. He's going to get in Memphis.
He'll be like one of my favorite sports movies. Actually, it's my favorite sports movie of all time. It's Major League, the first one, right? Mm-hmm. And in it, Jake Taylor, there's a scene where Wesley Snipes, Willie Mays Hayes, comes to Jake, and they're about to play the pennant, and he's like, man, Serrano wants to sacrifice a chicken. Jake says, let me figure it out. And he goes to Kentucky Fried Chicken and gets a whole fried chicken. It's like, there you go, right? And so it's like a joke. That's what Marcus Smart's going to have to do with Ja. He's going to go in there with 2 super soakers, big old super soakers, and be like, there you go. Wave that on your IG, brother. All day long. They're water guns. You'll be good. You know what I mean? It's like, that's what leadership does. So I think it's going to be a wonderful thing. I'm excited for Memphis. I think they got a really good team. Smart is going to be able to be a great addition with Bane and they let go of the other brother, but I really like Bane. I think he's good. I like Steven Adams. I think they're going to be good. They still got the guy that won the Defensive Player of the Year. I don't know why I'm blanking on his name. You know what I'm talking about, the young brother.
Jaren Jackson.
Yeah, Jared Jackson. Like, they got a squad, so they only got to wait 25 games for Ja to come back, and I think they'll be formidable. At minimum, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I think this is a trade that everybody improved on. To be honest with you, I think everybody got a piece that suits their team better than the one that they let go. Again, they might miss some of that leadership in Boston with Marcus Smart, but maybe they feel like this is Tatum's chance to now step up and be that guy. Maybe this is what gives Tatum the chance to be able to be the leader there. Although I still haven't seen anything that made me think that, but.
How did I know you were going to say that?
That wasn't a dig. That's just facts. I mean, we haven't seen him be a leader yet.
You know what's interesting, though? A lot of times on teams, the best player is not the leader.
That's a good point.
You think about that.
Look at Boston. Marcus Smart wasn't the best player on that team. He was probably third or fourth.
No, he was definitely the leader. And like Draymond Green, he ain't the best on Golden State, but he's like the leader. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of times it's like that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Like I'm saying, somebody else may take the leadership position rather than Tatum.
You know what? It could be Jaylen Brown. He's feisty. He's gritty.
Yeah. But
I'm a Jaylen Brown. Listen, I'm a Jaylen Brown fan. I've said that from day. I mean,
I don't understand that. He had more turnovers than points.
I get it. I like he's fiery. I like the fieriness in him. You know what I mean? I like he's got that grittiness, that edge to him that Tatum doesn't have, and I think it's because it's the anti-Tatum to me. So it's like I can't root for Tatum because I just can't stand him, but I'll root for Jaylen Brown almost out of spite. But it is what it is. All right, so let's talk about this draft. We got the draft tonight. We're gonna preview the draft. Patty, I know he's got a bunch of graphics. Put up the draft order for 1 through 14 first for Patty. So here we go. We got the Spurs. This is a lock, right? We already know what's happening there. Now, where this draft starts is at number 2. Do we think it's going to be Scoot Henderson? And Pat, you have the mock draft. Why don't you put that up real quick so we can take a look at that? Looks like everyone seems like it's going to be Scoot Henderson. Now, there's a lot of talk that you can see the Pelicans. There's been a lot of rumors with the Pelicans trading into number 2. Do we think that trade happens, Caleb?
I don't know. I would say that's how you know what's going to go down with Zion. If they trade up for number 2, Zion's gone.
Well, he's probably part of that trade.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, but they should get a lot if they were to lose him, because he's still, regardless of what jokes you could say, when he's on the court, he's virtually unstoppable. Like he was averaging like 26, 27, like something crazy. So he was averaging Booker numbers at like 60% from the field. So you can't deny his skill set. So it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, I'm sure they would get a king's ransom for him. But we shall see.
Now, I saw that the mock draft had Amen Thompson going third. I don't necessarily agree with that. Pull that up, Patty. Here's who I think. I thought it should have been, I see who's the Brandon Miller. I thought Brandon Miller should have been the third guy selected. He's the guy I like. I think after Scoot Henderson and Wembanyama, I think Brandon Miller is probably the guy I like the best right there.
But you know why he went down a little bit,
but now let me ask you a question. Would you let that affect you? You made a mistake. We all know.
No.
All right, fair enough. It was a mistake, but would you let that affect you? Your pick, NBA
Not
draft
for me.
picks. I agree. NBA draft picks are worth more than NFL draft picks because I think there's more of a chance you're going to hit a good play in the first round in the NFL. With the NBA, it's a lot tougher to hit on even on that first round pick. So I can't let something where if I interview him and he interviews well, I can't let a mistake a kid made in college as a kid dictate how I put my draft board. Correct?
Yeah.
Follow?
And you gotta take in consideration. It depends on what side of the tracks you from. Because the part of the tracks that I'm from, you giving me something when I need it, and regardless of the trouble that it can get into, I'm rocking with him. I want him on my team because that means if he'll do that and risk his freedom, of course you're going to play when your knee's sore. Of course you're going to show up on the playoff. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a different commitment. Like, I love it. Like, I get it. It's a bad thing, whatever. But where I'm from, we appreciate that type of stuff. So I would be like, I'm rocking with him. He's solid.
Nigel, what do you think about the first few picks of that draft?
I think it'll probably go as played out because it just there's no in the last decade of the draft. There's really been not a lot of shockers that we've come to know. Like the draft is usually the mock drafts are pretty accurate. Things usually play out the way they play out. Nothing is too crazy or nothing's too fantastic. I will say this with the Brandon Miller note. I mean, we also got to assume or maybe think, at least I like to assume or think that in this era, in this time where not only mental health, but these young men getting into trouble and making these decisions, there's got to be another fraction in the either in the NBA or that is part of the organization itself, whatever team that is, that would talk to like a therapist or somebody that would talk to the athlete just to see where they're at. So I think that with all the trouble that some of these student athletes are getting into, again, they're very young in mind and in heart. There's got to be a division. I would like to think there's got to be a division that would talk to them about, hey, listen, so now you're stepping up. So like, where are you at mentally? How can we make sure that this doesn't happen again? Just going through things and routines. Because listen, man, Ja is like the latest example of something that went awry, and it went awry twice within 2 months. There's got to be steps in place now to talk to these young men, to talk to these athletes about things that are troubling them or causing them to make these decisions, especially going to this next level. Entry level, there's got to be. I would assume there's got to be something. So I think he'll be all right, and hopefully he doesn't make that decision again. But nothing really shocked me about the first like 5 picks.
You know what I love seeing is the Thompson twins. Wasn't there a band in the '80s called the Thompson Twins?
Yeah,
it was, right. And we got
absolutely.
So I wonder. And we have a set of Thompson twins in the draft issue with Amen Thompson, who they say should go third. Do we expect any major trades tonight, Abby? If you had a guess, is there going to be a trade tonight? Where do you think it might end up being?
Honestly, I can see the Mavs trading their pick at 10. And like I said, we're going to get into it later, but I really think they may go after Kyle Kuzma. I think he'd be a great fit plenty of places. But I really think with the dynamic they have there right now, he would fit in there. So that's where I see the earliest potential trade happening, around 9 or 10. I think Utah Jazz has pick 9. I think they've been in the talks. There's been so many rumors. It is so hard to keep up with. Literally with the NBA, it's like everyone's tied to everybody. Like everyone's interested in everybody. So, but if I had to predict, that 9 or 10 spot is where I see the first kind of major trade happening.
So you don't think there's going to be that pick for the number 2 spot with Williamson either then?
Not really, no.
Okay. What about you, Nige?
Not
even about that trade. I mean trades in general.
Yeah. I'm definitely with Abby. I think she makes a lot of great points in terms of, there's enough pieces right now on the board of free agency or that are like opting out that there's enough to go around, if you will, with the right players that need the right players. You know what I mean? And the Zion thing, I mean, that's a bigger conversation. But to Caleeb's point, man, you will know when he's going to be dealt without his name being brought up. Like once you hear that the Pelicans, once you hear that time, and we know it's like, oh, update, and we know that, the Pelicans were like, yeah, Zion's out. So that's what I'm excited for, to hear that update chime, to find out where my man goes.
I would love to see. I would love to see, just because it makes the drafts more fun when there's some trades and there's moving and shaking. You know what I mean? And if you saw Chris Middleton also came out of his contract, so who knows where he could end up? There's a couple of good places that he might end up. So that, again, that's another guy out there that might say, all right, well, we don't need to go after that guard because he's out there. We can go grab him. But
I think he makes sense for the Mavs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I
do. Yeah,
I can see that.
I do.
Can they fit him under their cap?
They don't have to. Mark is a billionaire. You just pay the tax. It's like NBA, the cap is not real. It's not really there. It's there. You know what I mean? It's
cap,
like anytime somebody, they're 150 million over the luxury tag. You're like, what the hell? Well, then why is there a cap? It makes no sense. It's just a way the NBA can just make more money. You give us an extra 30 million, you can do what you want. Stuff like that. So
did you hear the Mets? I was listening to something this morning. They were saying the Mets, this is baseball, but just to talk about kind of on that topic, they lost $183 million last year. Jeez. They were in the negative. I don't know, lost, but like in the negative, $183 million. That's insane. And you got to figure a lot of that is the new owner over there paid over the luxury tax, and he paid a ton. $183 million under. I think the Yankees only made $16 million when they break down, all the expenses out, all the money that comes in, and then all the expenses out. They only made $16 million last year.
Yeah, when you're paying Judge $400 million or something, I'm exaggerating. It's 3 something, but still, it's like that's one dude, and they got a stack team. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know where baseball gets all their money. I really don't, because I'm like, don't nobody watch it enough. It's not that popular. Like, come on. I mean, you can't sell that many damn hats.
You know what it is? They got so. You know what it is? They have so many games. I think that's what it helps.
Mm-hmm.
It's the fact that they have so many games. I think that's what helps, right? That they have so many games.
No, I get it.
So, but yeah. So you know what? Let's get into the next thing. Well,
I also got to say, since I said it on Monday, I got to give him props. Matt, if you're listening, congratulations. The Blue Jays won. They beat them. There you go.
It's a little better in Toronto, right? The sun's not always great in Toronto.
You know what I mean? Yeah, they did good.
So do we all think Scoot's the number 2 pick? Is that set in stone?
No,
I think it is.
You don't think so, Caleb? Who do you think could be the number 2 guy?
I don't think he's number. No. I'm saying it's not set in stone. I'm assuming he's there. I would pick him next. But when you said set in stone, I'm like, oh no. The only one that's in stone is my boy from France, Wemby. There we go. We'll say that. Yeah, that's the only one. Everything else is in flux. You know what I mean? Like you just never know. A trade could come in. And you know what I mean? Like, we just don't know. So, but I do expect Scoot to go in the first 5.
Yeah,
if he drops below that would be.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's not number 2. The only other one I could see is, like I said, Brandon Miller, and I think he's just a dumb mistake is kind of pushed him down that board.
But that's what I mean. Like, somebody could be like, yeah, we're gonna act like we don't want Miller, but we're definitely getting him. Like, you just never know. You know what I mean?
Smoke screen, yeah.
Yeah, you just never know. But Scoot is definitely not gonna be there. He'll be there in the top 5. I do not expect him to be there when there's the 6th pick.
He's too good.
Abby, way too good.
Yeah, go ahead, Abby. Yeah.
Oh no, I'm with both. Like, I don't expect it to change, but I agree with Caleeb. It could change. I mean, you never know. The night of, like, people are talking about this a couple days before, and they don't want that information to get out. But I mean, I would take him next. It just makes the most sense. So
agreed. All right.
Yeah,
so
I feel the same way, except a little bit of pushback from the brother from the north. I think that the top 5, the projection, I think all those players are gonna go there. I think the top 5 is
really. So you do have Brandon Miller sliding out of the top 5.
I think it's going to be a lock, only because if you look at these teams and obviously the positions that these guys have, that these guys play, these teams need these positions bad. Like Charlotte needs a point guard bad. They need Portland needs a power forward. Like they need these pieces. So I just don't think, I don't know what else they could do. What would they do? Like trade to get like multiple picks in the second round? Or like I just don't see what they could do to compensate to get other than these things that they actually need in a bad way. Like Houston needs a point guard. Like they need all these things.
I think Brandon Miller has more of a chance to be a star than Amen Thompson. And that's why I think if you want to try to make Dame happy and Dame want to stay there, you're not looking to fill good pieces that need to be done. I think you're trying to add stars or potential stars. And that's why I think Brandon Miller slides right back into that spot. That's why I think he's a good – and if Scoot drops to number 3, then they take him regardless of need. I think they're going to want to put like some star power around Dame to make Dame say, okay, I see they're trying, they're putting some stars around me. I really do think that's what I'm going to be surprised. I'm going to be surprised if Brandon Miller doesn't go in the top 3.
But what if Portland thinks the other way and like Dame is their star? I mean, what if Dame mentally is like, I just want enough support around me so we can go a little further. We can actually make it past the first round. What if he doesn't want stars though, bro? Like, I think that Portland.
That's valid because the one thing he hasn't done is ever really piss and moan about not having stars to play with. Like,
right.
We haven't. He's as much as there's been rumors about him being on the out in Portland for the last I don't know how many years, almost it seems like forever. He's never once really came out and publicly complained. And a lot of and let's face it, in the NBA, the player has so much power that once they come out and complain, moves start to happen, right? So if he would do that, maybe moves probably would have already happened if he would have been publicly like, this isn't working. The fact that he hasn't makes me think that he does want to still be in Portland. He does want to win in Portland. So you might be right. They might have a talk with him and say, listen, this is the best fit for our club right now. So you never know. You never know. But I mean, Caleb, what do you think? Does what keeps him happier in Portland, or is he really just going to be out of Portland?
I think Dame is going to stay. He's taking. If he was going to make a move, he would have done it already. You know what I mean? It's like you don't get a divorce once you're married 35 years. You just figure that shit out. You know what I mean? It's like it's just
or die miserable.
It's like it's just been too long. Get a different apartment or something, but. Like you're locked. You know, I really feel that way because he should be leaving now because he still can play. He's still in his prime. In the next couple of years, he's gonna drop significantly.
He's gonna be like Chris Paul.
Well, damn, I don't think it'll be that far, but he definitely won't.
I don't think he'd be that far.
Chris Paul was all world until the age caught up with him. It happens. You never know when it's gonna happen.
That's true. That's true. It happened. They say it happens overnight.
And that's what happened to Chris Paul 3 years ago. He was a stud. They brought him in there for $30 million a year for a reason, you know. And it just didn't really work out. So, all right. So let's get on to the next topic. Whose team are the Suns? What is that?
I think that means how I read
I get it. Whose team is the Suns?
KD's or Booker's or Beal's now. That's how I read it.
That's exactly how I meant it. I just forgot that's how I meant it. So, who needs some sleep? I have a cold. All right. So Abby, since that's your hometown team, whose team is the Suns?
I think it's still Booker's. I don't know. I probably have a little bit of bias, but even this past year, I mean, I know KD wasn't there the entire time, but I mean, even throughout the playoffs, I still believe Booker performed better than KD. That's why I said he's a nice addition to Booker, and they'd play alongside really well. But I mean, if you're looking at, when you think of the Phoenix Suns, who are you thinking of? I think most people still think of Devin Booker because I think he's going to be with the Suns more long term, but that's just my opinion. I'm interested to see what
you don't think Bradley Beal comes in there and takes over.
No,
don't do that. Don't do that, man.
Not. Like I honestly, I feel like KD might he's still going to be dominant, but maybe take a little step back because he knows he has this other dude now. So like the pressure's not all on basically the two of them.
I would even go as far as to say I don't think KD has ever had a team. I think you even go back to OKC. It's arguable that it's an argument to say that was actually Westbrook's team too. Even it was because he was the alpha, and we've all known KD is the one that says, you know, he'll take his shots when he needs to, but he's one that's always kind of take that back seat. It's a lot easier in the back seat, I think. Maybe that's what it is. Caleeb, whose team is this?
Booker's 1,000%. It's not even a conversation. It's his, like straight up. KD will be there 2 seasons. He is a mercenary. He just goes. He's like David Carradine in Kung Fu, just going from town to town. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just you know what I mean? It's of course it's Booker's team. Booker's he'll be close to retiring as a Sun. Like he has that kind of mentality. It's like old school. You know what I mean? So yeah. It's 100% Book's team. And I agree with Abby that KD will take a step back. He always does. Anybody that's aggressive, he'd be like, go ahead. You know what I mean? Like that's how it is. So it's going to be interesting. I'm excited for them. I feel like they really hurt themselves, like getting Bill because of like the bench situation. That's going to be because, now in the NBA, it's not about the regular season. The season don't start until June, right? I mean, until April and May, the playoffs. And you need a bench. You need one.
They showed it this year. They had they're as good a starting 5 as anybody, but they showed they needed a bench.
Right. So I think that's going to be the Suns' Achilles heel. It's going to be we're going to see if their GM can work some magic moves and get a solid bench. You know what I mean? But it's Book's team.
Any pushback, Nigel?
I mean, listen, I guess it's Booker's team. So here, this is where I'm at. I only say that because in name, it's like KD is the name that we know and that we love. Like just in name, like lights under the lights. But obviously, because you're in it, Abby, you are in mix. Yes, definitely Booker's, and I agree again too with Caleeb as well. Like it's all about Booker. He'll definitely come close to, if not retire as a Sun. I just feel like when they're doing the photo shoots, or like when you're outside of the arena, and you know how they have like the 2 stars of the team or the stars of the team. I just feel like if you had, with your iPhone, for those iPhone users out there, when you're taking a picture, there's an option where you can do a photo live, like a live photo. So then if you press and hold it for just a second to rewatch the picture, you can see a little bit of the action. I feel like if you took a photo of KD and Booker, and it's a live photo, a little bit of the action is them going elbow to elbow, but trying to be up front just a little bit more. Like it's just, and then it stops and they're both at the same level. You know what I mean? I feel like they're just kind of like edging up, but Booker gets a little bit of a shoulder in there, and he's the front man. I kind of like them just as a duo, just loving the team the same, and just being the face of the team the same. I kind of love that. But at the end of the day, y'all are right. It's about Booker's life.
What it is too is it also depends on who's going to be the leader just in the clubhouse as well, right? I mean, that's always going to be a portion of who takes over that team. Like if you look at like the Yankees of the 2000s, when they had the best baseball player on the planet at one point, A-Rod, but that was still Derek Jeter's team, right? So there comes a point where it's also the leadership isn't always the best guy on the court necessarily. So I can see where if, again, that's not KD's thing. He's not really that rah-rah guy. Beal, I'm not saying it's going to be Beal. But if
then don't say anything about Beal at all. Then don't say anything about Beal at all.
But if he comes in and he comes off and he's fiery and he tries to and he sets himself up to be a leader. He's a veteran presence compared to Booker, right? He's older than Booker. I guess not by that much now that I think about it. But he could be a guy that kind of because Booker and KD cancel each other out. He comes in and he's like that fiery leader in the locker room. But also is what makes it his team.
Let's okay. First of all, I'm gonna disagree with you big time.
I'm not saying it. I'm just to bring up the argument. I'm saying it could happen that he comes in and he's not this passive guy like a KD. He comes in and he's more aggressive in the locker room, trying to be a fiery leader.
Gene, this is like you saying Sam Darnold.
No, Abby, you jinxed it.
Abby, back player of the year, Abby.
Abby, you jinxed it. You jinxed it because he's gonna bring up Darnold now for the rest of the pod, man. It's gonna be.
I heard him the other day, and I'm like, stop talking about him.
Every time I talk about him, she texts me and she goes, "Enough with Sam Darnold." So it's a constant reminder. I'm sorry, Abby. I get it.
But I just feel that the Suns isn't. We need to also define leader, like who, like out of the NBA times that we've watched, or like out of like let's say the last 3 or 4 seasons, who do we think is a defined leader? I just feel like the Suns don't have that. That's not a bad thing. I'm just saying that there's nobody, for me personally, it's just a team. Like I feel like they're just like the Nuggets is like,
it's
hold on,
because
the
Arizona's
Nuggets is like,
too far from Toronto.
What's that?
No,
It's because Arizona's too far from Canada.
I get exactly what Nigel's saying.
That time zone sucks.
There's no real leadership, no standout leader on that team.
Right.
It might have been Chris Paul, and now Chris Paul's not there anymore. So, and that's why I'm saying if there's an open spot. Now, does Booker stand up and does he take that spot? I mean, we haven't seen. I mean, Booker. Listen, is he more fiery than KD? Hell yeah. I don't know. Maybe would you put him close to like a fiery leader like a Kobe Bryant? I mean, I don't know. We'll see. But I also think there's almost that there's like an empty spot to be the leader there. Because remember, when you say this is somebody's team, like I said, Derek Jeter wasn't the best player on that team, but it was his team.
Yes, he was. I'm gonna disagree with you because
listen, I'm a Derek Jeter fan.
No.
One of my favorite all-time athletes.
A-Rod was phenomenal, right? But here's the deal. He wasn't showing up in those first couple years in the playoffs for the year.
Not until 2009.
And guess who was?
Derek Jeter.
Number 2. Every time. Base hits, all like, come on now. Like, A-Rod wasn't coming through. So that's the thing with all that money. And he had a personality that, let's just say, wasn't conducive to team building, right?
No.
So there's that. And to be honest, when you saw that documentary, he was jealous of Derek Jeter, like almost, and give me ladies, but feminine with his like jealousy. Like, are you kidding? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't be jealous of a man. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you one thing I think about when I think about A-Rod. He wasn't good for his contemporaries, the players that were his age and above. For the young guys that came in, though, he was a hell of a leader for those young guys, especially towards the end, like those last couple of years where Derek Jeter was already gone. He was a hell of a leader for those young guys. And I'll say this: I think he's fantastic on TNT or is he on Fox? I forget now which one he's on. Yeah. He's on one of them. He's great.
He's a brilliant baseball mind.
He would be a hell of a manager. I don't think anybody really ever talks about him. Listen, guys that are that big of superstars usually never go back and manage.
You got to have a personality to get people to want to follow you.
But I think he would get the younger. I think he would take a nice young team and get them to young players respect A-Rod. It's the contemporaries that didn't. He would take a young
because
team
they felt he was a cheater. They felt he didn't earn,
and he cheated them because they played the same thing and they missed out on all-star appearances and all sorts of stuff. So
yeah, but once they found out he was cheating, well, it's not alleged, it's true. Once they found out that he was cheating, I think that ruins it because you kill the competition. You know what I mean? Like it's not fair. So you're getting all that, because you were a cheater, right?
Yeah.
So
I agree.
Yeah, that's all.
So
still a phenomenal player though.
Oh yeah, I mean, listen, even without the steroids, he would have been a guy that.
I don't care how many steroids you take, that don't give you hand-eye coordination.
It does not.
See a 100-mile-an-hour fastball coming and dropping out the strike zone, and you still make connection. Steroids don't help that.
I would say steroids has probably helped pitchers more than batters. I would say
1,000% because it helps you heal faster.
If you look at like Roger Clemens, I think Roger Clemens benefited more from steroids than any player in the field. So
yeah,
all right.
That's why he don't get the love he deserves either.
Yeah, and he was good before the steroids. He just got caught up.
So was Barry Bonds. I'm telling you, those dudes ruined it. Barry Bonds was a Hall of Famer before he ever took a roid. Back when his hat was a size 8. Before it went to 13.
I think it might have been 25, but
he had size 8's big. Size 8's big. Just so people know. So I'm 718. Size 8's big.
Yeah, this dude was 35 and said, I don't know what happened. I don't know how my foot went from a 10 to a 13.
He and it's funny as you see because some guys were always just fit right from day one. Like A-Rod always had that same build since day one.
Right.
Mark McGwire had the same build. Jose Canseco had the same build. Roger Clemens got a little bigger. You could see it in him. But Barry Bonds tripled in size. Like you remember when he was in Pittsburgh? He was lean, he was mean, and then he goes to San Francisco and he starts off lean and mean in San Francisco. And then the next thing you know, I think was it after 98, after they battled for the home run championship with the home run title with Sosa and McGuire. It was like that next year, all of a sudden, Bonds came in. He looked like twice the size. And again,
he was like,
right.
No.
And it was his head was just like massive.
Yeah, it was insane. It was bigger than OJ's, and everybody knows OJ got a big head.
So, all right, so let's get on to the next one. Biggest threat to the Denver Nuggets. Who is the biggest threat to the Denver Nuggets in the NBA? Not even in the West, but the NBA in general. Nigel, you want to go first?
Sure, man. Biggest threat. Oh my gosh, that's a great question, man. Because there's.
It's still a little early, so we won't hold you to it.
Yeah. Because I still feel like I like what Miami did, even though they only got one out. They were still a problem for them, and they just didn't have the endurance. So I think it's more Spoelstra than it is the team, but it's that combination. So I think in the East, I think it's probably still Miami. In the West, oh my goodness, I don't know if there's anybody else like really in the West that causes a real problem. I can't wait to see what happens with Dallas when they get their act together, because that might be something. But other than that, man, nobody really stands out.
The thing that hurts Dallas, I feel, is the defense. I feel like there's just not enough defense in Dallas, especially for a team like Denver.
Well, yeah, for sure. And I mean but their offense can be powerful, especially when, like, I think with the added addition of Kyrie now, but now had some games under his belt. Like, let's see what happens now, because we all predicted that it was going to be a hot mess for a while. But now he can start the season with the team. Let's see what happens. But yeah, I don't know, man. That's a great question.
Abby, what do you think? Are you going with the home team?
I honestly, when I initially looked at the question, I was like, any of the teams that were in the playoffs in the West can easily be a threat. Like, I even think, I know the Lakers got swept, but I even think the Lakers could, honestly, I don't know. I just think that was a rare occurrence, but they have a good squad. And I just think kind of putting that all together, having another year together. But I mean, I'm not going to, and you can't always discount like the Kings, the Warriors. I do think if the Suns add depth, then yes, it's going to be the Phoenix Suns in the West. Now the East, Miami's been in some trade talks too, so they can still make some good additions here. Honestly, I was thinking the Celtics as well. As soon as they made that trade yesterday, I think the Celtics can be a huge threat to that as well. But yeah, so East, Celtics, West, Suns, most likely. Suns if they add depth. I'm going to say that. Because right now it's still not it.
You guys are both wrong. No one's to the Knicks yet. All right, let's see. Caleb, what do you got?
I agree with Abby. I think it would be the Celtics out of the East. I think with Kristaps like coming in, like that's it makes it difficult for Jokic. Like, it's a lot of bodies. There's height. If you play him with I don't know why I'm playing. I was thinking of what's his name. I don't know why I'm blanking
Williams?
on him. No, the brother from the DR. What's his name? I'm blanking on his name. He's so I can see him right now, right in front of me. The oh gosh, the dude the light skinned brother. What's his name? That's on the Celtics.
Tatum?
Derek White?
No, not that. That's super light. I'm talking about the brother that plays down in the box. What's his name?
Tatum?
In the box. He's a whore.
I'm just thinking, you said light skin. I'm trying to think of light skin.
I know, but he didn't say super light.
He's brown skin. What's his name? You know what I'm talking about. Y'all don't know. I don't know why I'm blanking. Number 42. I think it's 42. What's his number?
Oh, he's old. He's been in the league for like
Horford.
Yeah, he's been in the league forever.
Guys don't know. Jesus. So
I was like,
he's from the DR?
Yeah, you didn't know that? He's Dominican.
I didn't know he's Dominican.
He does.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's why I couldn't.
Anything. He's still black. He wanted.
No, I know, but I didn't know. I didn't know.
But yeah, he's from the DR. But the point I'm making is that Horford and Kristaps down low. That's an issue. You know what I mean? Like for Jokic to move the way that he normally would. So that's why I think the Celtics have it out of the East. Even I would say I just need to see what the Bucks do, because Giannis causes problems for everybody. But they're mixed. I don't know how their mix is, because the Nuggets got a lot of weapons, and you know what I mean. So there's that. But out the West, I could definitely see Phoenix, depending on what they do with their bench. Even the Warriors could be, if they could get healthy, because a shooting team changes everything. When you could just pull up from 40 and 35 feet and be making them, that's a real problem for anybody. So that's like a asterisk, like they could, but and then I got to agree with Abby on her take about the Lakers. As much as I'm not a LeBron James like fanatic in that way, I think that team definitely could cause big problems. The issue with the Lakers is I think they're not going to be able to re-sign Austin Powers, because I think they're only going to be able to offer him $50 million, and I think he can command 80 to 100. And Austin got to think about himself, and he'll probably never get a contract offer like that unless he balls out at that level. But you got to take that money. You can't. Don't take $30 million less to play with LeBron. Situation. Yeah, it's like, nah, you go get your money like everybody else did who played with LeBron. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't think, but I think he's a big component to that team. Like, without him, they don't even get past the Warriors. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, in my opinion, like they don't even get past the Warriors, I don't think. So it's going to be,
He had a good series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he had a great playoff series, a whole playoff run. He did great. He had one game where he didn't show up and it was like bad. The rest of them, he was at least there, and then some he balled out. He saved the Lakers in the fourth quarter plenty of times, hitting those 3-pointers. You know what I mean? So anyway, I digress, but I think it's Phoenix, Lakers, and asterisk with Golden State.
Okay. I like Abby's point with Phoenix. I think if Phoenix adds a bench and some depth to that team, they probably have the best starting four. Because I love Ayton, especially with the coach, with Frank Vogel. I think Ayton fits perfectly in the way Vogel schemes. So I think Ayton's going to actually have a bigger year this year than he's had in the past. I think he's going to be his breakout year. I love Phoenix. They just got to add some depth. And listen, you're going to get people. We said it recently when they built the Heat. People went to play for the Heat for the minimum just to be able to be part of that team.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's a championship right there. I almost feel bad that Chris Paul can't be there because he probably could have gotten his championship finally, because I think they're going to be that good this year. They might even be my favorite. We have to see how the rest of the offseason goes for a lot of the other teams, but yeah. So, all right, let's get on to the next thing. Kyle Kuzma declines his player option. Had a decent year. Where does he end up? Where do you think he ends up, Abby? And was it a smart move for him to decline? It was only $13 million. Which is like pocket change in the NBA.
Yeah, I was like, he's going to get way more, honestly. And the Wizards just seem like they want to completely rebuild at this point. And I think he's in a spot where he knows he can win or go to a winning team. So why would you stay there? But I mean, I honestly can see him going to the Mavs. I think he's a perfect fit there. I mean, but the thing is, I can also see him. I would love to have him on the Suns.
That's the one extra position we could use, is that power forward spot.
And honestly, if you really look at it too, any of the California teams, Kings, Clippers, Lakers, I mean, a lot of people want it's funny, the Lakers fans are weird. Half of them want him back, half of them don't. I personally don't know if he wants to play with LeBron again at that point, but he would be a good fit on kind of any of those teams. So, but realistically, it looks like it's probably going to be the Mavs.
What do you think, Nigel? Where do you see him fitting?
Oh, well, first of all, I want to shout out Kyle Kuzma for getting out of that dumpster fire of Washington. We did talk about how that place is just going down, and it's just, and then it literally was like player after player after player within 48 to 72 hours. It was like, yo, man, I'm out. Like, just Washington done. So shout out to Abby for like just commenting that, yeah, the Wizards are just, they're revamping. They're fully going from the ground up, which is good for them because they need to do something. Yeah. And if that's what it is, this drastic change, that's what it is. But I digress. I think that Kuzma made a very good choice in terms of opting out. And I think he can fit really a lot of places. I'm curious. I'm going to start a little bit of a conversation. What if he went to the, Atlanta Hawks? Right. It's a thing. It might be a thing. But I'm curious. I think Dallas, again, another great move. But I was just thinking, man, like what what could help? What teams could really use him, because he's a very versatile player, man. You know that you're getting some good points out of him. So what team could use him? And I'm curious if Atlanta would be a landing spot.
You know what? My only thing with Atlanta is I feel like they're still not close enough that if you're Kyle Kuzma and you can have your choice of a bunch of different teams, Dallas would. If Dallas is interested, you'd want to go to maybe. Thank you. You want to go to maybe Dallas instead for the fact that they're just closer than Atlanta is. I feel like Atlanta's one of those, like you said about the Pacers. Atlanta's in that same spot as the Pacers where they're good, but they're not bad, but they're not great. They're in that little middle section where they're not good. They're too good to fix themselves in the draft unless they get lucky. So they're not bad enough to get better, but they're also not. I don't know if they can ascend anymore with the talent they got. Like, have they maximized with the talent they got, or they get better?
Sure, but let's remember where Kuzma's coming from. Washington. Mm-hmm. Any team that he goes to is going to be better than Washington.
Sorry.
You know what I mean? To be honest with you, like, I understand what you're saying in terms of, like, if Dallas wants him and if he wants to do this, if he wants to do that, just pie in the sky. Maybe it's an Atlanta type team. You know what I mean? Who knows?
Yeah. No, listen, Atlanta would be a good fit. I'm just thinking if as far as what his mindset might be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, that's my thing. Go ahead, Kev.
I gotta disagree on the Pacers front, because the Pacers, they have so many first round picks. They just traded one and still have three. And
that's a good point.
Have three.
So ridiculous.
They absolutely can make themselves better in one draft.
They can trade out. I'm talking about just with the current roster as constituted. They're
right,
good.
But you said even with a good draft, they're not bad enough to be good. Like you know what I mean?
I meant like in a standard draft where they have eight picks somewhere in the middle, like late lottery, early non-lottery.
I'm expecting a big change with them. But to the Kuzma thing, I don't know. He's one of these new age players, man. He's more concerned about his outfit and his toe rings and his Instagram than he is about really playing. He averaged 13 points. And he got 13 million. If anybody paid him more than that, you'd be dumb, right? Because it's like, why? He doesn't care enough to make himself great. I'm sure he's got all the talent in the world, but he'd rather be on a yacht with a hand on some Instagram model's butt and with a drink.
I think we all rather be there, Caleb. Well,
not when I'm not if I'm in the NBA, because if I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, that's normal. You know what I'm saying? Like, what you talking about? You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. And it's just
that's just a Wednesday.
You should be wanting to win more than looking good. Looking good should just be part of it because that's just who you are. But it's just, I don't know, man. Like I don't like seeing all these dudes with all these commercials and you ain't no baller. You ain't even doing nothing. You don't win. You know what I mean? That's why I was mad at Chris Paul. I'm like, why you make him the all-state dude? He don't win nothing. He doing more games, more commercials than doing something for the team. Same thing with Baker Mayfield, who I think is hilarious, by the way, in his commercials. Yet and still more commercials than wins when he was on the Browns. It's ridiculous. Like, I don't understand why people pay these guys to be their spokespeople and they're not even winners. When did that happen? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. So anyway, Kuzma is into that. He's in the subway, modeling, coming down in his outfit, talking all that. I'm like, dude, you're not even a baller, man. So anyway, I don't care. I think he would be good on the Mavericks, but who knows? You know what I mean? Like, I just, he don't have that thing in him. And that's what I don't appreciate. They make too much money to just be half-assing it out there. You know what I mean? There's a lot of dudes in the D League, as Miami showed you, that would love to play.
That's a good point. Good point. All right, so on to what we're gonna take a look at some off-season outlooks. We talked a little bit about Dallas. Let's talk a little bit more about them. Abby, where do you think? So Kyle Kuzma, like, what are you thinking? Like, we kind of talked about it a little bit already, so we don't have to go into too much depth. We did talk a little bit of Dallas already, but give me your outlook for their off-season. What you think they do going forward?
Well, they should start by re-signing Kyrie.
Which it looks like that's what's going to be the case now. Now, that might not be so much as Kyrie wanting to stay in Dallas, as not as many teams want Kyrie as we once thought. So
I mean, honestly, the problem with the Mavs is, like I told you before, they have the 10th pick. I can potentially see them trading it, but they need help on their defense. It's absolutely god awful. They're pretty much towards the bottom. I think they were like 29th they're 29th in rebounds last year, and then they're 26 total in defense. So they need some height. Honestly, that's what they need. So looking at potentially a center, I mean, Ayton's even been thrown in the mix with going over there. I know there's been rumors with like Brooke Lopez going over there, but I mean, like I said,
wow, you know what? I didn't hear that rumor, but if that would be a great pickup for Dallas because he's exactly what they need. Exactly what they need.
Yeah, and I don't know with what their money situation looks like, but like Caleeb said, it's infinite. Like the Denver Nuggets, they're gonna have to give why am I blanking on his name?
Jamal Murray?
Yeah. They're gonna have to sign him, and they're gonna be way over. So at this,
yeah.
So it's like the cap, but there's not really a cap. Honestly,
not in the NBA.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think if they could get Brooke Lopez, or honestly, I don't know what they're going to do with Ayton. I know I'm a big fan of Ayton. I do think he's a little soft. I don't know if it's that softness that's kind of been heard around the league. But I know his name has been thrown in the mix, but like I said, they need a big body up in there, a big defensive body. And so whether that be trading for someone or whether that be drafting a center or something, I think that would severely improve their roster.
If I'm you, and I know we're talking with Patty, you pull up the depth trust as we're talking about him. That's fine. He has the depth trust for him. My thing is this: is if I'm Phoenix, I know we're not talking Phoenix, but you brought up Ayton. If I'm Phoenix, I hold on to Ayton this year. Pay the guys. Ishbia's got money too. He's another guy that doesn't mind spending. It seems like. I hold on to Ayton. I think Ayton fixed Frank. Like I said, I've said it a million times so far since it's happened. I think he's perfect for Frank Vogel's system, and I hold on to him. Look, Frank Vogel's made a lot of mediocre centers look really good. That's my only take on it. Like he's made a lot of mediocre centers, decent centers, but made them look like all-star worthy centers. Roy Hibbert comes to mind. He made Roy Hibbert look really great in Indianapolis. Other than Indiana, where have you seen Roy Hibbert be good? He was only good for those 2 years that they had Frank Vogel there. So. I think that they did Ayton a service by bringing in Frank Vogel, and hopefully they keep him because I think you're going to automatically get yourself a top line center now because I think he's just going to fit that system. But what do you guys feel about Dallas, Caleeb?
I think, like I said, Kyle Kuzma would be good with them. Ayton thing would be interesting. I don't think Ayton is soft. I just think he gets outplayed by better centers. I don't think he's soft. I just think you just can't tackle somebody. Huh?
Do you think it could have been schemed too?
Yeah, and that too. And we'll see what Frank Vogel does. But I think the Mavericks, they definitely need defense, and Abby is 1,000% right. They need height. They need bodies. You just need it.
Because why would you call Lopez? That's perfect.
Right. Because Denver changed the game. Steph and them changed the game to all guards and shoot. And that's a new part. But Denver took it old school. What if we work from the inside out and with shooters? Now it's virtually unstoppable because Jokic can do everything, and he's big and he's in the middle, so everything is controlled. It's like controlling the first center four boxes in or squares on a chessboard. Most important places to be, right? Control that, and the game goes from there. It's that kind of thing. So it's going to be really interesting to see what Dallas does with this pick and everything. And Gene, I was just seeing on SportsCenter, they actually agree with you. They're picking Miller to go up in the draft. They're saying they're seeing him at 2, possibly 3 and 4, switching with Henderson, that good. You know what I mean? So yeah. We shall see.
And to touch on that real quick, if I'm at number 2, I'm Charlotte. I have a hard time deciding between Scoot and Brandon Miller. I think they're both fantastic players. I think they're both going to be stars of this league. I don't know if you even they might not even be a wrong answer. It might be just pick the one you want. I think they're both going to be really good. I think, and I'll say this. I think they'll both be better than Wemby earlier on in their career. Wemby, I think, is going to have a transition period for the first year or two.
He's going to have hell because he's getting so much hype. Do you think these
And
players
he needs to put on some weight too. Unless he turns out to be like KD. Listen, KD never put on the weight; he was fine. Steph never really put on the weight; he was fine. But so maybe Wemby could be, but it doesn't
KD
generally
don't play
translate
in the middle.
And that's where I was about to say. But you know what? They said the same thing about Chet Holmgren. He didn't even make it to the season. Chet Holmgren.
That's right.
And he's you can't. It's hard to bang in there when you got these big bodies. Listen, we call Anthony Davis soft all the time, but he's a big body that is going to steamroll a guy like Wemby in the beginning.
But they're going to want to. See, that's the thing. It's one thing when you like the dude and that's your boy and y'all vacation together and all that and y'all just playing. Then it's a different thing where they're like, this. They talking about this boy is supposed to be the what? Oh, okay. He ain't going to do that to me.
Welcome to the USA, right? So
not tonight.
Yeah,
you know exactly. What I'm saying? Like it's going to be a lot of that. So it's going to be
everything's bigger in Texas.
Yeah, exactly.
So Nigel, what do we got with you in Dallas?
Well, real quick on the Wemby thing, I think it's known that he's going to get banged up pretty aggressively out the gate. There's no doubt about it. I mean, physically, look at him. Mentally, he's got the mindset to play the game. But again, he's a young kid, and then you got a bunch of vets in that position. It's going to be messy. So he's not going to get like a lot of minutes, I don't think either, because that's unfair to just throw him to the wolves like that. That we can't do that. I mean, they will, but we shouldn't be doing that. You know what I mean? But he'll be fine. But again, to your point, Gene, it's going to take him a season or two to kind of acclimate, but once he does, it's going to be a wrap. So let's talk about that.
I do think he'll be the better guy long term, but I think the first 2 years it'll be these guys.
We shall see. I tell you this though, he's going to be culture shocked like hell. He will never have been called the N-word so many times in a single game by somebody that looks just like him. He'll be like, I don't understand where this is coming from.
I'll tell you what I love. I love Nigel saying how they're going to be tough on him. He's like, and they shouldn't be. Like, they're nice to these men. He's like, they really shouldn't be. They really shouldn't be mean to him.
He gonna think that's his middle name. Yeah. He gonna think that's his middle name is N-word. That's how much he gonna hear it on the court. Get up out of here, N-word, with that. Hey, N-word, you know you ain't ready. Hey, N-word, you need to go back to France with that. Look here, N-word, you ain't ready for this. Like all of that.
I'll tell you what though.
So bad, the ref's gonna be like, hey man, I'm sorry. This is what it is. Welcome to America. Welcome to America.
There you go. And I'll tell you what I do think, though. I think he went to a perfect spot because there's not too many people. He doesn't need to look that far to another Frenchman that made the transition with Tony Parker. So did I freeze? I froze for a second. Did I freeze, guys?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I'm saying he doesn't have to look too much further than Tony Parker for advice on how to deal with coming in from France to be in the NBA. And he's right there. I mean, so it wasn't. It's almost like it was meant to be him going to San Antonio. Maybe makes you think that maybe some funny business, but probably not. But he's in the perfect spot for a Frenchman, is he not? So, all right, we'll come off Wemby. Back to Dallas, Nigel.
Yes, back to Dallas. Listen, you have your point guard. You have Doncic leading most of the big stats for his team. That's a problem. You can't have your point guard. You can't have Doncic leading points scored, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks. Like, it's not block shots, but although you can't have that. So again, Abby started it, and it's correct, man. They need to get size big time. They're 29th or 30th in the league for rebounds, and also they were second in turnovers per game, man. And on top of that, they were 28th in block shots. Like they need those two stats alone. Like they average 3.7 or 4 block shots a game. That's it. You need to defend more. You need to do more busy work in the paint. So that's where Doncic can't. Luka can't go down there all the time. Like he's got to play man. So you gotta help this guy out and add some more size to the team, man. They're 29th in steals. Oof, like that was a rough season for them. And I mean, I'm sure those numbers just slid tremendously. So they need to start at a high point with some big bodies and then keep that momentum going. Because with stats like that, man, it's a rough go.
I agree. All right, so next one. Let's talk about the OKC Thunder. I think they're in great shape. They have a ton of picks. Too. And you know what? It's like if Chet Holmgren is really going to be the real deal, it's like they're getting 2 first-round picks. Well, they're actually getting more than that. I think they had 1 first-round pick this year, but they're getting an additional pick because Chet's coming back this year. So if he's going to be with what they're selling everybody, if he's going to be that good, that's like getting another pick this year. And they already did a great job last year with the picks with who they brought in last year. So I like this team. It's a nice young team. I like Dort. He's an exciting player. Giddey's an exciting player. Jalen Williams had a great year. This could be a scary team on the come up. What do you think, Caleeb?
I agree. I think they're fire. Like, I think they're a really good team. And here's what I like about Chet. He's got the right heart and mindset. That he does. He doesn't have the right body. He needs to drink more milk and do some push-ups. But outside of that, he has the right, like when I hear him talk about the game, I hear him talk about just what he wants to do and how he does it. Like when Wemby says it, it's like rehearsed. Like that's what he's been told to say, versus this dude, he sounds like he believes it. Like it's just different. I don't know. So it's going to be interesting to see. I hope he doesn't get injured. I hope he's able to play this season so we can see what he can do. But I like OKC. I think they're right on the verge to pop.
What do you think, Nigel?
I think Caleeb said it best. They're on the verge to pop. They are so close. I mean, shout out to SGA, another Canadian boy who's leading the charge here on a great team.
I'm sorry, I left him off before. I didn't even think of it. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's
Awesome
why I make sure. That's why I make sure. But yeah, they're doing all right. I mean, obviously they got to get some shooters. I think they're 24th in the league around there for field goals, so they got to work on that. But I mean, they were 5th in scoring. So I mean, okay, I don't know how those numbers how they actually work out, but it works out somehow. So again, there's not much to say on their front for me. I think as long as their front office or head office keeps on this trajectory where they're finding some gold and some key players, maybe making a couple of trades, but they got to be very delicate, I think, and very precious to make sure that the squad stays together and they can keep this momentum going. And then we could see the next Sacramento Kings type. Again, I know we're using them as a template just because it's a young team, a fiery team, but that they could be that next type of team that comes up and does some damage in the West.
Abby.
Yeah, I don't know if I have anything different to say than Nigel and Caleeb. I mean, they were 17th in the league. They're right on the edge. So I just keep that same kind of trajectory going. They got a good starting lineup that all just kind of work well together. So keep building. And
again, they're getting Chet back this year. They have a ton of picks, so they could add some picks. You might even see them move up in the draft. You never know. They see a guy they might be a guy they like that's a little bit out of reach. They might say, you know what, let's go up and get him. We have enough picks. We have enough capital draft stock. Go up and get them. So you might see them do that. There's a couple of teams that are going to be really exciting within the next 3 or 4 years. This is one of them. Detroit, Houston. There's a couple of teams that are like all those bad teams right now that you can see they're doing it the right way. And they could be scary once they get to that next level, you know? All right. Chicago Bulls. Where are we looking at the Chicago Bulls? Are they going to finally move Zach LaVine? Caleeb, you want to go first?
Okay. You know who I think they need, Gene?
Who do they need?
I wasn't going to say this, especially in front of all these people, but I got to admit it.
Sam Darnold.
You go get Sam Darnold.
Nigel and Caleeb on the same page again.
Back to the chip. Back to the chip.
Well, you'll see. San Francisco is going to give a big contract at the end of this year, so they're not going to. That's not going to happen. But
I'm just teasing. I'm just joking. But you know what? I think they may need to move Zach. Now, I'm a big fan. I think he's dope.
I am too.
But it's all athleticism and no real not to say he doesn't have but you the skill. You know what I mean?
He's a scorer, and that's pretty much it, right? Would
yeah. Yeah. There you go. It's that. And it's more like athleticism scoring as opposed to skill type scoring.
Yeah.
There's no real mid-range game that's efficient and nasty. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. Like that's what makes KD so dope. That's what makes Booker so all the best scorers, they're able to shoot long distance, mid-range, short. It's skill because each area is a different touch. You got to put a touch on it. You know, like my man with the song, he'd be like, you got to do that. You know what I'm saying? You got to do something like that. So it's going to be, I think they should, because I think Zach is still in he's young enough and he's valuable enough to where you can get some pretty good pieces for him.
Yeah, you get a good
So I think they should, maybe they should send him to Portland.
I know the Knicks have been tied to Zach LaVine for the last 3 years. And I kind of like
he
it
would do
depending on
good
who they
with
give
the
up.
Knicks.
It just depends who they have to give up for him. I wouldn't break the bank for him. I wouldn't give up a lot of, there's a lot of talk you'd have to give up Randall. I wouldn't go nuts. maybe Randall, but I wouldn't go any like at that point. I'll trade you Randall for Levine straight up. I'm not adding any more. In fact, they might need to add a piece for Randall just to even off the. I don't know who makes more money. I know them both pretty much the max, pretty much. So, what do you think? Do you think the Bulls do move him this offseason? What do you think? It's more of a trade deadline thing.
I think they should. Now, will they? That I do not know because I have no idea like what their plan looks like. But if they were looking to win now or start making moves, I think you definitely should move him to get some more pieces. But also, you got DeRozan. Isn't DeRozan still there, right?
Yeah.
And to
He's
me,
carrying the team.
yeah. So it's like, do you want to bank on him? If you,
I don't know if you can.
Well, there's a whole other thing, right? But let's say for the sake of argument, they're choosing him because you got to pick who you're going to build around, right? You're going to pick, it's either Shaq or Kobe. Which one are you going to build
Here's
around?
the thing.
You know what I
Here's
mean?
the thing. DeRozan's probably a better player. No, DeRozan's a better player right now. He's just a lot older than Zach LaVine.
Right. That's
so
what I
it's
was gonna
like,
say.
for how much longer? But like you said, Zach LaVine is based on athleticism. Those are the players that lose it overnight. When your game is, and so it's a tough call either way.
Yeah. So I don't know, but I would say just for the sake of argument, they're going to stick with DeRozan because he can do more things. Then I think you got to trade LaVine and get as much as you can for him and start wheeling and dealing to try to build a team that can be competitive because they were right there. They were in the playoff game. They just the playing game. They just lost, right? So because they beat Toronto and then lost to Miami. You know what I mean? So I think like they're close. So you're going to have to make a move. You're going to have to, it's like a rose bush. You got to cut it back in order for it to grow. You know what I mean? So I think they may have to do something like that.
Nigel, are you still pissed off at DeRozan's daughter?
Yeah, 100%. Listen,
I love it. The best part of that was the straight face. Nigel might be the nicest guy on the planet, and he's like, no, 100%.
Very quickly, because I want to hear the rest of you guys talk on Chicago, but this might be the most average team out of this whole conversation that we're going to have today. Like, I don't know where to add or what to take away. Again, Caleeb knocks it out of the park with the fact that maybe you do have to cut it back before it can grow some more, because it literally is just the most average. Like, they're 40 and 42 for the season. Like, everybody's spread around the board in terms of their the distribution and just like where they are stats wise. Their overall stats aren't that bad. Like, everything's just very like plain Jane with the team. So lastly, I think if anything, and we do say this a lot, it's just they just either need to add a star power, or if you're adding a star, again, you have to remove some of the pieces, or you're adding I guess like a Kyle Kuzma type, or just somebody else that can be like, okay, cool. Now we have our version of a big three, which is just a team-oriented game, or like they turn into the Miami of Chicago, which is like one star and a great bunch of role players. Because again, everybody's just so average. I don't know how to help this team. Also, they have one of the best brands in sports, so that's a bonus for them.
Remember this though, they should be getting Lonzo Ball back next year. Does he help?
No.
No, he doesn't. Not at all.
You think he's done? You think he's done?
No. We're not going that far. Sorry, I'm not going that far. I'm not saying that he's done. I'm just saying he just helps it become even more average. Yeah, that's all.
My question is not is he done? Did he ever start?
Oh geez. Oh boy.
Like
no, that's a fair question. But I thought before he got hurt, he showed a little bit of promise in New Orleans. He started to show a little promise in New Orleans. I thought towards the end of that run.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
He's still what was he, number 2 overall pick? I think he still isn't that, but he started to show a little bit of a maturation towards his end of his run in New Orleans, and then he came to Chicago, was hurt, and hasn't played since. So it's whether it's. I guess another question is, does he recover? I guess that's a big part. How does he recover from the injury? Abby, what do you got going on with Chicago?
Well, it's funny. I agree with Nigel that they're the most average team. Honestly, I don't know if Lonzo Ball returns. This is like his 3rd surgery on his knee. He just had another one in March, and he's already going to be out for half the majority of next season.
Oh, is he really? I thought it was only
from what I was reading, Yeah, the surgery ruled him out for the majority of 23-24 season. So I don't really know if he's going to come back. And if that's going to be the case, they need someone who can shoot. I think they were I think they were last in 3-pointers made, and they were also last in 3-pointers attempted. So they need someone who can shoot the ball. And as I was looking right now, as you guys were talking, I think Julius Randle could be a good fit there if they made that trade. His percentage is kind of right on the average and stuff like that, but they're going to need to find someone to replace Ball. I really think I don't think he's coming back. I mean, that knee's always just going to be iffy. And the thing with basketball is like,
you need your knees.
It's that landing. I mean, you're always landing up, arm down. Like, I mean, an ankle roll is like the most easily thing to like, as soon as they're coming down with some of these big guys. So, yeah, they just need someone who can shoot the ball and preferably a 3-point shooter as well.
Absolutely. And it's probably because these guys all wear low tops. Have y'all noticed that? So when KD twists his ankle,
they're not into the high tops anymore.
Hey,
he's in low tops.
Yeah, I want to thank you very much, Caleeb. And listen, I don't give a shit if you can figure out how old I am. I'm getting a little heated about this because I'm a high top guy. That's what I grew up on, high tops. I love my ankles. I play a lot of sports, and that was my jam. And the like 2 months ago, I was looking for a pair of I needed some new ball and shoes because I'm playing a lot more. And I'll be damned, man. They're all mid to low. That's it. They're mid to low, and that is it. And it's all fashion. It's all style. And I just feel like you're right, man, with a little bit more protection. That's why they have to wear these braces with the shoes as well. It's like, what are we doing? Just go back to the high top, man. The high tops are sick.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I did find some cheap LeBrons, though, at Marshall's. Shout out to Marshall's. It was unbelievable. Unbelievable the price I got these. It was robbery.
I didn't know if you can get LeBrons and Marshalls in the U.S.
Exactly. See?
What?
Exactly. Don't tell Marshall.
Don't nobody want no LeBron.
Well, listen, in my house, when
The
LeBron
kids want Ja Morant.
his logo should be a little pistol on the side. Like
With a little compartment for your gun and for your bullets.
Let me tell you something. When LeBron went to the Heat, when everyone thought maybe the Knicks, and he ended up going to the Heat, there was no LeBron stuff allowed in my house at all. We were an anti-LeBron household, so you couldn't ask for the sneakers if you wanted the sneakers.
You were in the whole state of Ohio.
Yeah, they were running the jerseys. Yeah, I don't blame them.
Dude, they were burning his jersey. They even made like a effigy of his body and lit it on fire. I was like, yo, I don't know how I feel about that. I'm not a fan, but that looks like 1911 South Carolina or something. Yeah. Like, what are we allowing to happen? Like, you know what I mean? But it
got crazy. It got crazy.
They were pissed, man.
Yeah.
So, all right. So we're done with the NBA, right? We got through all our NBA topics. Let's get into some NFL. We're gonna rank the AFC North defenses. And you know what? I'm gonna kick it over to Nigel first because his home team is over in the AFC North. So why don't you give us your top 4, Nigel?
Great. Thank you for asking. Listen, yesterday, last pod, I was a little suspect in terms of I was coming in a little tardy. I was coming in a little slow, a little late. I deferred a lot, but today I made sure I did my homework. I was prepared. So, talking about the AFC North defenses, I'm going to kick it off real quick. I think it goes Bengals, Steelers, Ravens, Browns. That's how it goes. I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
Bengals first, yep. Even though I'm a Steelers guy, but it's hard for me to do. But we're talking about the defense. They had 44 sacks last season, right? They did a great job of their sacks. Now, the Steelers had 38 sacks. Their opponent had 37 TDs. And their opponents also had 30. They were 30 for 34 field goals. So it's like the defense just kind of let up just a little bit there, right? So it was a little tougher. The Ravens, 38 sacks. Their opponents had 48 sacks. So, I mean, listen, like their D, again, a little shoddy, and their opponents also had 32 TDs, and that's for the Ravens, right? So, and then the Browns are just the Browns. They just ended up floundering all over the place in the stretch. For some reason, the Browns could always hold up in the first half, man-ish. If they didn't get blown out, they'd hold up in the first half, and then they would just, like, peter out. So that's how I have it. Bengals 1, Steelers 2, Ravens 3, Browns 4.
You know, the thing with the Browns is I always found the Browns are bullies, right? They play better from ahead. So it's kind of like to what you said. If they start off good, they usually ended up all right because they were better at playing from ahead and holding a lead than it was really just being able to, if the offense didn't score points, it's like the defense just was trash. So I'm going to give mine. I have I got the Cincinnati Bengals, I got the Ravens, I got the Steelers, and then I got the Browns. And the Steelers and Ravens are kind of like I feel neck and neck about because I feel like the Steelers, if even if they don't got the players, the one thing they are is always prepared.
And that's why I put the Steelers above the Ravens. But again, it's game of inches, man. So I just support your thought there because I could have gone either way as well.
I mean, like I'm like right there. Like you could tell me, you could give me a couple of stats and change my mind. It's that close, but I do have the Steelers like right there. Again, and it's a case in point to kind of what we said when we were talking about the coaching last time on Tuesday. That coach always has them prepared, always has them ready. Put up the roster too, Pat, real quick again, the depth chart. I mean, just look at some of these names here. Even the names that you don't really know are solid players, man. Like there's a lot of good players that you already know. Obviously, Minka Fitzpatrick, T.J. Watt, Cam Hayward. We know those. Alex Highsmith is a fantastic player. Keanu Benton is a fantastic player. Joey Porter, I think, is going to be a stud in this league. Keanu Neal, fantastic player, and he's a depth piece. I know he's not what he was because there's been some injuries, but a fantastic player. Marcus Golden, another good player. I mean, so they have depth. Nick Herbig, brother, the little brother of a former Jet, Nate Herbig. Yeah, I mean, listen, I love this defense, man. I think they have a lot of deep positions, and they're always going to be well coached, and they're always going to be prepared. So that's why I have them. So you know what? I'm gonna switch. I'm gonna put them second. Now, as I'm talking about, I'm looking at them. You know what? I'm gonna agree with Nigel. I'm gonna switch them with the Ravens. I'm gonna put them second. I just changed my own mind. I changed my own mind. Abby, what order do you have these teams in?
I mean, I think we're all got the Bengals first. I have the Ravens second. And you know what? I like the Browns on paper. If they can put it together, I have them above the Steelers, honestly. It can go back and forth with 3 and 4, but on paper, I think they've made some – I think they look okay.
Darius Smith opposite Myles Garrett's a big upgrade.
The Browns, for me, the Browns is the best on paper team that has ever lived. Like they're always hot on paper. It's just, their offense, their defense is always hot on paper, and then when it comes to game time, it's like they end up bottom of the league. It's wild.
Yeah, and they completely fell apart the second half of the season. And I mean, Gene, you probably remember when the Jets came back and won. I was like, holy shit!
I also remember the day that Baker Mayfield had his first career game and beat us when we were supposed to win that game, and then. I remember those. So it's the Browns to me are
hard. Like I'm saying, it's hard because on paper, I don't know if the addition of Jim Schwartz will kind of change this defense and kind of put it together. But that's why I'm saying I can go back and forth with like the Steelers. I do agree. The Steelers are kind of, for me, right on the cusp of like coming over the Ravens, if I'm being honest. But Joey Porter, it's all going to kind of depend on how is he going to be the Sauce Gardner type? You know what I mean?
I don't think he'll be Sauce Gardner, but I think he'll be good.
Okay.
So for finalization, we're doing Bengals, we're doing Ravens, and interchangeable. I'm just still going to say interchangeable with the Steelers and the Browns. But I did have Browns first.
So this year, I'm taking the Browns defense over everybody's.
Wow.
They're better than the Bengals. The Bengals give up way too many points on defense. The only reason why we're talking about them is because their offense carries them through. If you watch their games, really, their defense is not really the best in the Navy. Like, it's really not. They get carried because they got a great offense and a fantastic quarterback, which changes everything, which leads into my point about the Browns. Here's what's the difference with the Browns. This time they got somebody they believe in that they can win with. Belief is everything in sports. You know, Nigel, like a team cannot be as good as or as talented, but they believe and they play together as a team and they're able to beat that other team that they shouldn't beat. The Pistons, when they beat the Lakers that year, right? It was like everybody thought that is over. The Lakers, it was Shaq and Kobe were still together and they got swept. No, gentleman's sweep. Lakers won one game, right? Against a team that should have never even been like anywhere in the stratosphere, right? Same thing when the Giants beat the Patriots. Everybody just penciled it in. It's over until it wasn't, right?
Yep.
So I think the Browns are going to have belief on their side. Here's my issue with the Steelers that nobody pointed out. It's a passing league. Who's the starting left cornerback for the Steelers? Patrick Peterson.
Oh,
guess how old Patrick Peterson is? 176 years old. He just turned 176 yesterday.
What?
He can't
I missed
stop.
his birthday.
He's past his prime. So now that puts super pressure on Micah Fitzpatrick, who I think might be the best free safety in the game, at least top 3. But then your boy, Joey Porter Jr., you got to pick up all that slack. Mm-hmm. And you're young, and teams are coming out with 3, 4, 5 wide sets. Like, I'm telling you, that is going to
Patty,
the Steelers.
Pull the Steelers up again real quick, Patty. Let's take a look at it.
And then Kenny is still on the come up. So you don't have an offense that you can really depend to get you your rest in between sessions, right? So now you got Patrick Peterson keep going out there, and he old and he tired. And you got these young boys that are half his age running up and down the field. I'm telling you, that's a liability, right? The Browns got 2 of the best. They got 2. Denzel Ward is ridiculous, right? Like I'm telling you, I really see that team. I think Abby is onto something with what she was saying about the Browns defense. Now, the Bengals, of course, are going to be right there. I just think they're overrated, right? So it'll be there. And I think it's a toss-up between the Steelers and the Ravens because the Steelers have a great linebacking core. I mean, you got T.J. Watt, you got all that, like you got Cameron Hayward, you got all those guys. Fire. But it's a passing league now. So you better hope that Watt and them can get to that quarterback immediately, because if not, Peterson is going to get burned. He's going to get torched. Patrick Peterson 10 years ago, best cornerback. And that's 10 years ago he was in the league. Best cornerback in the game, but not now, right? And I just think that's a major liability that will come to get the Steelers, especially when it starts getting cold. Ooh, and them joints get tight. And them joints get tight. Yeah,
I'll tell you what, though. Look at this. This is look, Michael Pierce in the middle. You're going to have a full year of Roquan Smith this year. Remember, they didn't have him all year last year. He had to get used to the situation there. Patrick Queen's in a contract year. I love Marcus Williams at free safety. Kyle Hamilton's a tremendous strong safety. Marlon Humphrey at right corner. Maybe Rock isn't the best left corner right there, but he's serviceable. That's a tough defense.
No, it is. I just think the Browns are stronger.
Okay.
That's all. That's all I'm saying. And I could be wrong. The hell do I know? Am I in the NFL? No.
I'll tell you what I love about the Browns is the addition of Zadarius Smith is huge.
It's just my opinion and as far as from the eye test, and then what I do in Madden. When I'm playing against teams, I'm like, okay, they got this corner. I got to worry about this. Okay, set that. I'm telling you, you see how they got a Gran Turismo movie coming out where they had the guys that play the video game actually get to race the cars. That's how it be. They should let us Madden players coach a team one day. Never know. We might be able to set something up. They're like, these guys know what they're doing.
Let me tell you
how to read defenses. You learn stuff so quickly.
I used to coach when my son played. I used to coach football with my son when he was growing up. But he's going to be 21 in a couple of weeks, so he's almost grown up now. He's still not grown up really, but when he was from the age of like 4 to about 11, I coached him in when he was a kid, and that was a big thing. Was play Madden, learn how some of the plays get run, and that I used to always tell him, play Madden. That's you're going to learn so much about offense. He was a quarterback. You're going to learn a quarterback and a flanker. So I used to say you're going to learn a lot about offense. Just play Madden and figure out how the offensive sets look. Madden is a big thing. I remember was it the Jets? Abby, maybe you'll remember. This might be this might have been before Sanchez, though. They had a quarterback, and he hadn't gotten any playing time. He was like, "Yeah, I've been playing Madden all offseason, so I'll be fine." And everyone made a big joke out of it. It might have been Bryce Petty. It was a quarterback that we never really saw play. It was either him or the kid we got out of Penn State, and he never really played. And his big thing was like, I've been playing Madden all year, so and everyone killed him for it. But I remember saying, "Hey, that's actually true because you learn a lot about offense and defense from playing Madden because it's such a realistic game." I get it's not the same thing, but it's definitely
not. But what I'm saying is
during the offseason, though,
it's so detailed. So what they'll do is they'll have Patrick Peterson. They'll tell you what, like, he's not a good cover. He's not a good man-to-man. He's better in zone. He's better in this and that. He doesn't shade well. He's better over the top. Like, all of those things is in the game. So you start to learn those and you know about the players', weaknesses and stuff. So it helps you play. I digress. Again, I just think Patrick Peterson is a big liability for the Steelers defense when it comes to a passing league. I just think that's going to come back to bite them. That's why Arizona let him go, and that's why Minnesota let him go.
Yeah, a little long in the tooth, as they say. All right, so let's get to the next one. Ranking the NFC South running backs. This might have been the hardest one we've done out of all these.
Who are the running backs in the NFC South?
Pretty basically, right? One guy.
No, that's not nice. That's not nice.
But it's kind of true. I'll give mine first because I know you guys will like to probably make fun of mine. Because everybody seems to want to make fun of my picks, especially when it comes to quarterbacks in the NFC North.
Just Sam Darnold.
But my number one guy is a guy who hasn't even taken a snap yet in the NFL. I'm going with Bijan Robinson.
That's a good choice, though.
I mean, part of it is because there's not too much else there, but I'm going with him. Then I go Jamal Williams because all that man does is score touchdowns. Then I'm going to go Miles Sanders. And then I'm going back to Atlanta because I thought he had a fantastic rookie season. I think Atlanta would have been fine with if they didn't even add Robinson. Now they're going to be even better. Is Tyler Algiers. I think he's a tremendous running back. I think he's only got a brighter future coming up, especially now that he can split carries with Robinson. So that's why I go Robinson, Williams, Sanders, Algier. Caleb, who do you got?
That's not a bad. I actually agree with that list, and the only difference is I would switch Sanders and make him number 2. I would have Sanders there because Miles is nasty.
You saw him every game list, yeah.
Right. So, I know what he can do. He's ridiculous. But I think Bijan is going to be a monster. I really do.
He can do everything.
Really do. Yeah. And I think it's going to open up. I think him and Kyle Pitts are going to be they're going to be running the football equivalent to the pick and roll. They're going to help each other's game so much because Bijan is going to command so much attention, which will open up the play action for Pitts as the tight end. The tight end being so athletic and so ridiculously talented, defenses can't fully commit to the box, which then allows Bijan to do his thing. So I think it's going to be a nasty tandem between those two in Atlanta, provided it's not blue cheese and boobies. Which is a great title.
TM.
There you go. So Nigel, what's your list look like?
Listen, I'm back to the old Nigel of Tuesday, baby. I did the research for the AFC South running back.
Oh God.
So as you're rhyming people off, I'm like, wait, what? They're not in the same division. What? So I'm going to defer, and I'm going to whatever Abby says is law, is gospel. I am her assist man. I am her hype man. So Abby, you go on and set the record straight for these listeners out here, because I got you.
God, this division is garbage to me. It's so bad. That's why it was so hard. I'm like, who? And I instantly was like, nobody.
They have running backs in the NFC North, South. So who do you got?
So you know what? I'm gonna have both of the Falcons running backs going at 1 and 2. And I think Algier and Bijan Robinson are gonna get a fair, probably about 50-50 with the snaps. And I think they're easily 1 and 2 to me. Then I'm gonna go ahead and pick Miles Sanders. And you know what? I know, Gene, you mentioned Jamal Williams. I'm still gonna pick Kamara.
You know what it is?
Don't sleep on him.
Will he even play this year, though?
That's what I'm saying. I know the suspension, but if he plays, easily right above Jamal Williams.
He's really good.
I get it. I feel he's at that age now, though, where running backs start to show that age. Number one. Number two, after seeing the video, it's hard for me to even put him on an NFL roster, let alone.
I know.
And then also, will he even play? I mean, listen, all of it's alleged, but we all saw the video. We all saw the video. It was pretty disgusting. Mm-hmm. So to put him on I just couldn't do it. I didn't want my mom to get mad at me.
I didn't say
What
he's
did
a
he
good
do
guy.
again? Did he get into a fight?
He hit a woman and then bragged about it in the car. He got caught on camera bragging about beating up a woman.
No.
So,
Okay. I thought he was fighting another man.
No, he hit a woman, and not only did that,
How
but
you
then
brag
went to the
about
court,
hitting a woman though?
and we like I forget I forget exactly what he said, but it was almost like he's like you almost to the kind of on par with like, hey, did you see I knocked her out or something like that? It was I don't remember the exact quote if anybody else does, but it was like
he fighting Baby D from next Friday. Yeah, but she was chasing Day Day around the car. He was scared as hell. He didn't want to fight.
She knew about all the new Hostess cupcakes, the glitter snacks,
all the bootleg snacks,
all the 2000 snacks, glitter. So Nigel, who do you got? Now let's come back to you.
I'm with Abby, man. I told you. I didn't even do. I had time to do the research just now, and I didn't. I was like, I'm with Abby. So whatever she says is gospel. I agree.
I mean, and I get the situation with Kamara, but I mean,
if you're talking about talent, then yeah, he's probably there.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm going to point out the obvious. Deshaun Watson is still somehow playing.
Shocking.
Let's not even go there. There's a lot of other questionable athletes that are still doing whatever they do that have heinous crimes against women, and I'm obviously the only one on this show right now. May not agree with it. For example, I think Floyd Mayweather is like one of the best boxers that has ever existed. Do I like him outside of the ring? Absolutely not.
Right.
But that's how I feel about the Kamara situation. We're only talking about kind of what they bring to the field. And honestly, but if you wanted to put Jamal Williams in there, you can. But I'm glad none of us picked anybody on the Bucks because who do they have?
Rashawn White's on a bad back. He just missed my list.
No, he didn't just miss my list. He was not on the list.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Okay. So on to the next one. Hopefully, Nigel has the right conference. AFC East wide receivers.
Have the right conference for this one.
AFC East wide receivers. Abby, you go first.
Oh man, the options are infinite with this one. You know what? Okay, so it was an easy number one for me. It's easy Tyreek Hill. I feel like if you look at the AFC East, he's the first name look at those stats. It's crazy. Now he get in trouble this week too? I thought he
punched, but he punched a man.
Yeah,
a man.
It was a little different.
In Miami. It was,
and allegedly too. I don't think there's no.
And then there's gonna be like, well, he punched a dog. He punched a wall. I mean, come on.
Yeah, he punched a man at the marina.
So let's go. I'm like
allegedly. Yep.
You know what? And now that I'm looking at the list, I think I'm going to switch my 2 and 3. I'm going to go ahead and put Garrett Wilson right there at number 2. I'm going to put Stephon Diggs number 3, and I'm going to put Waddle at 4. Maybe a little controversial. You could put both of I can see how people can argue for Waddle's to be right up there with Tyreek Hill. But honestly, if you looked at, obviously they're both kind of rookies. Garrett Wilson had better stats, I will say, than Waddle did his first year.
But here's where I'm going to disagree with you because I think your fandom is showing a little bit. You put Stephon Diggs behind Garrett Wilson?
I switched that last minute right now. That's the one I switched.
But all right, so I gotta ask you, why did you switch them then?
I just think Garrett Wilson's potential is a little. It's better, okay. And like I said, this is just first year stats without a QB. And you think Aaron Rodgers? You think I'm just saying. I think the Aaron Rodgers connection is going to allow him to.
They also didn't use him the right way for the first couple of games. If you remember, I think it took like week 3.
No, we didn't see him. Yeah.
So now he's gonna have a full season where he's actually gonna play.
Maybe it's because honestly, and I get it with Stephon Diggs, but maybe it's because the controversy in the last couple of weeks with him being unsatisfied, not showing up to the mini camp. I don't like. I get it. Trust me, I get it. You want to get paid. You're showing your frustration. I understand, but that kind of stuff it annoys me. I even told you when Quinnen Williams was like defensive lineman for ... I don't like that.
Yeah, I get it. Caleb, what's your list look like?
Okay, mine is a little different. I think Stephon Diggs is the best wide receiver in the AFC East. And here's why. Because he really has hands. He really can catch. Without Tyreek Hill's speed, he's nothing. Like, nothing. But Diggs can catch in traffic. He has some of the most spectacular catches I've seen. And he's not big. He's not imposing. And he doesn't have cheetah-like speed. Right? So I think Diggs is the best. I really do. Pound for pound, he's the best. Then you got to go Tyreek Hill. Then you got to go Jalen Waddle. Like I love Diggs. I think he's so good. You know what I mean? And I think Hill gets the love because of just how spectacularly fast he is. I've never seen anybody I have, but it's rare to see. He's done it so many times. You throw him a little screen pass and 90 yards later, he's doing this to your players and out, right? Like it's God-given speed. He might as well be Hermes, right? But I think Diggs is the better all-around receiver. He can just do so much more for you. It's going to be interesting to see. I love Jalen Waddle too. I think Waddle is dope. I think he's the guy. And so, and then, then we could go to the Jets and we could put your guy in there because I know how happy you and Abby are now, Gene. Congratulations.
I'm not happy you have him as 4th.
Congratulations.
But I just think, but Abby made a good point. He put up those stats. He had 1,300 yards or close. It was definitely over 1,000.
It was, I think almost 12.
Yeah, almost 12 with no quarterback, really.
1,300. 1,300.
With 4 quarterbacks. We'll say
1,300.
And again, not being part of the game plan for the first few weeks of the season too.
But also, teams don't get up for that. They're like, it's Zach Wilson, man. Who's the quarterback this week? Is it you? Right? So teams are not really keen. So it allows players to do things that they normally would not be able to do if the defense is like, all right, we on. Right? So I'm not saying he got those stats because of that, but I'm just saying I know it kind of helped a little. This season, it's going because teams are like, okay, the Jets think they're going to do something because they got Aaron. We ready. Like, they're going to see because teams are going to be up for them. You know what I mean? So we'll see what he does this year, but I do expect him to have another great year with Aaron Rodgers throwing him the football. But I digress. I think Stephon Diggs, I'm telling you, there is something about that man. I just think he is a phenomenal receiver.
I originally, when I was doing my list, I had Stephon Diggs first, and then I switched it around. So I actually had, I think I had the same list that Abby originally had. I had Tyreek Hill going first, Stephon Diggs going second, Garrett Wilson third, and Jalen Waddle fourth.
And that's what I originally had.
And the thing is, it's funny because they're all so close. 1 and 2 are so close to each other. 2 and 3 are so close to each other. And then 3 and 4 are so close to each other. But that doesn't mean 1 is close to 4. I don't look at it that way. But that one spot, I feel like I could almost flip-flop each one of these spots to an extent. It's that close of a division with really good firepower in this division right now.
Well, and let me say something. Caleb, you mentioned that Diggs has hands. I don't know how much Jets football you watch, but some of the catches from Garrett Wilson and just the way he's able to maneuver and get out of things. I mean, it's crazy. I've seen him. And then there's been a couple of penalties that he could have had called on him and easily, like a hold, just dudes all up in his face. He got rocked a couple of times. I'm surprised he didn't drop the ball, but that's what I'm saying. His potential is there.
No, I believe you because Abby is fantastic with it, and I know she knows what she's talking about. Unfortunately, though, they don't make national TV, so I couldn't see the games.
Oh yeah, I streamed it illegally.
I had to go to the Red Zone channel and look for them. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just trolling.
No. Well, and starting off like in the season, no one thought you didn't miss nothing the second half of the season. We lost 7 straight in a row, but the first half of the season too, no one was paying attention to the Jets until they were like 4-2. So you didn't miss any other games either.
But trust me, this year you guys are going to be in all the prime time.
Well, we're on prime time.
We have the most games of the year, so
forced to watch us.
Everybody's watching this season.
So, Nigel, what do you got in this list?
Ooh, we talking about wide receivers, baby. That's my jam. Because listen, if there's anything I know, it's about wide receivers. I was one in university, played that in college. It was the goddamn best time. So listen,
There it is.
I'm going to make it real quick because you guys have made some amazing touch points. I got one surprise at the end here. Number one, I actually switched this up. Number one is definitely Diggs, man. I'm not going to say what Caleb already said. Yep, because those points are all valid, man. He's a true receiver. His hands are fantastic. The dude knows how to play the game. Yes. What happened with Hill is about his speed. He got wrapped up in the hype machine because Miami was coming up and nobody saw it happening, and it was right in front of our eyes. So he got caught up. But I'm not saying that he's not a great receiver. All I'm saying is that he got caught up in the race and then did his job and crushed it. 1,700 yards. Are you kidding me? The guy's a beast. So it's close for me, but again, it's the traditional receiver that wins it for me. So that's why Diggs is up there because he again makes some phenomenal catches. And then I'm gonna throw your boy Wilson in the mix. Like, listen, I told you a couple weeks ago, I guess I'm going to be watching more Jets football because I got some friends that are big fans, so I guess I'll be watching it. But Caleb said it once again, everybody's going to be watching it because all the networks have bitten the sandwich of, of the Aaron Rodgers diet. So we're watching that. So Wilson, and then last but not least, and shockingly, because I just feel like why not, let me get Ramondre Stevenson on there. Let's just put him on there at number 4.
Really?
I put him there
he's a back, though.
No Jalen Waddle?
I'm not sorry, Steven. Because listen, Waddle deserves to be on my list 1,000%. There's no even discussion about it. One, I wanted to pick one person from every team, so I struggled.
Okay.
But two, I know he's a back, I understand, but he had nothing. He had nothing to work with. Nobody had anything to work with in New England. Nobody. And for the fact that he still put up as a receiver, I mean, he still put up how many yards? 1,000. How many did he put up here? Sorry, I had the numbers. Nope, I got them wrong. Anyways, I still I'll put receiver. Oh, I got that whole thing wrong, didn't I? I did. You know what? No, let's go Waddle. Let's go Waddle 4.
That never happened.
1,040.
He had 1,000. Yeah, he did have 1,000, right? Yeah, sorry. Yeah,
that was rushing though. Wasn't that rushing?
No.
Oh yeah, rushing. Wait.
No, that was receiving.
You went over 1,000 yards receiving, Ramondre Stevenson?
Yeah. Wait. Oh no, that was rushing. Shit, you're right. I swore twice on this pod, and I never swear at all. That's right. Waddle's number 4. Anyways, moving on. You're right. It was rushing. He had 1,000. He had 1,000 yards rushing. Yeah. He only had 800 yards receiving, which is great considering what he had to work with.
Hey, but that's still great for a back, though. That is great for a back.
Yeah.
So, all right. So the next topic we're gonna do is we got a couple left, and then we're gonna get out of here. Ranking the NFC North quarterback wide receiver duos. I'll go first on this one too, and then you guys let me know what you think. I went with Cousins Jefferson number 1, Goff Amon-Ra St. Brown number 2, and then I went with Fields DJ Moore at number 3, and I went with Love Watson number 4. So what do you guys think, Caleb?
Actually, I was thinking like, wait a minute, who's the duo in the NFC North? But Jefferson, see, I'm not a big Cousins fan, but Jefferson is by far the best wide receiver in that division. So that duo has to be number 1. He makes up for whatever Kirk can't do, right? He's that phenomenal to me. I agree with Detroit coming in second with Goff and the receiver's last name I cannot pronounce. But I think it's okay, you have them in 4th. You have Love and what's it? Is it Watson? No. What's
I have Watson and I have Christian Watson and Love coming in 4th.
I just want to see. Okay, I'm a secret Aaron Rodgers. Like, I love Aaron Rodgers, which is why I'm secretly rooting for the Jets this year. Never over the Eagles, but I'm like, they both wear green, so I'm like good with that. It's just, and it's sad because I feel like I'm a little hater. Like, I don't want to root for Jordan Love. And that sucks, right? Why wouldn't I want the young brother to win and do well? But it's like you can't come in and upshow A-Rod. You know what I mean? But I digress. So hopefully there's that. The thing with Fields, he don't pass enough for me. Like,
I think he will this year. He'll pass more this year.
If you were saying what's the best running duo, I would say, you know what I mean? But I'm almost certain he had double the running yards than he did passing. like you know what I mean? Like, and so
probably
we just need to see it. So, I think there's a major gap between Goff and his receiver and Cousins and Jefferson between the rest, between the Packers and the Bears as far as their duos go.
You know what? I agree with you on the Fields thing. I just think Fields is going to throw more this year. He's got some receivers.
I think he's going to have some
weapons.
If he wants to have a career.
Good point.
Because you can't play that way and last. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Nigel, what do you got?
My list is pretty much the same, to be honest with you. I at number 4 though, I have Love and just question mark. Because I literally have no idea. I'm like, I don't know. Or it could have went the other way. I could have picked a receiver and then just put question mark, because who knows how Love's going to be or who's going to be quarterback.
Well, the one thing Love's got going for him, he's got a couple of good young receivers, Dobbs and Watson. I think they are good. Now, did Rodgers make them good last year? We'll find out. Maybe they were good because Rodgers.
Well, regardless, you still need somebody to throw the ball to get it to you to get those yards. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's why I just had Love and question mark, because who knows? And again, it could be the other way around. It could be wide receiver and question, and then question mark. So, but yeah, my list is virtually the same from 1 and 2 anyway. Cousins and Goff.
So, one quick question for the Jets fans: what do you guys think of Adrian Amos? Do you think he's going to be the answer for Clark? Because Clark is gone with the torn ACL.
Yeah, I actually think he might be better than Clark.
Oh, okay.
When I saw that he was I was like, I didn't even realize he was available at the time. Clark, I know we got him through a trade. I think I like him better than Clark.
Okay.
And I like Clark too. Don't get me wrong. I like Clark. I really like the difference on the two players is Clark's a lot younger than Adrian Amos. So, whether or not that means anything. Because when did Amos play before Green Bay? Was it Philly? Was it Chicago? It might have been Chicago. So I think it was Chicago. So, if you look at what he's done in his career, to me, he's a fantastic player. I like him a lot. I think he's going to fit this defense to a T. That's my opinion. Abby, what do you think?
I'm not going to say he's better, but is he absolutely a good replacement? Yes, absolutely. I was 100% happy that we got him. And it was kind of weird. It's funny because the news about Clark being hurt, came out kind of around the same time. So it's like the news of Clark being hurt was well known before the Jets organization, before the news actually broke. So it was a quick turnover time, but I was happy with the signing. He was with Chicago before. There we go.
That's what I thought it was. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Wait, so who did you what duo did you have for the Bears?
I like Fields, DJ Moore. Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
I like Fields, DJ Moore.
Okay, so I obviously had Vikings 1. I had the same order. I actually had Jordan Love and Christian Watson 3rd.
I had them 4th.
Because I know DJ Moore, I know he's going to come in there. He's going to be the main guy. But the amount of receivers that the Bears utilized last year that have potential is, you have the other St. Brown. I actually like Mooney. He's made some awesome catches. If you look at Justin Fields' highlight reels, you're going to see Mooney, as far as passing, you're going to see Mooney on a lot of those. So I'm not going to discredit that connection either.
Who do you think's better, Moore or Mooney?
I'm going to say,
Moore's definitely a better receiver than Moore. Mooney is good. Moore's a number 1.
Yeah.
Mooney, I don't think he's a number 1. I think he was forced to be a number 1 last year, but I don't think he's a true number 1.
No, and I don't either. But
this will make Mooney better, bringing Moore over.
Yeah. So that's why I had a difference in you. And you have to remember, Christian Watson wasn't 100% greenlit till week 10, and he had 600 something yards in just those last 7 weeks.
Yeah.
Well, and he had that many touchdowns. So that's already, I don't think I need a full season to prove his potential, or we have to wait. I think he's good to go.
Did you have anybody from Detroit? What was your?
Oh, yeah. So Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Where did you have them?
2.
Number 2? Okay,
Yeah.
that's right. Yeah, I had them at number 2 as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right.
Easy number 2.
All right, so we got one subject left. And let's see. Who is the biggest threat in the AFC? Oh, I wrote NFC, but that's supposed to be AFC. But who's the biggest threat in the AFC to the Kansas City Chiefs, Nigel?
It's got to be the Bills, I think.
Nope, wrong. It's the Jets.
No, I said what I said.
You said your answer like it was so obvious. Why it wasn't obvious to me? I'm like,
for a split second, I was like, wait, was I wrong? No, I was wrong. I think it's the Bills only because they seem to be the one team that has the firepower that can try to at least keep up. Again, I mean, we all know, how Mahomes is just like the captain of trickery. I mean, it's ridiculous. The schoolyard, they call it, football that this guy can play with. But again, he's like the Joker, man. He's in terms of basketball and football, where his receivers are just super comfortable going off book if they need to and getting to those open spots. So that's the thing that sets the Chiefs apart from any other team. The Bills are very textbook, but when they're textbook, they're the cleanest textbook team when it comes to their offense and how their receivers run the routes. I think Cincinnati can obviously be in the conversation as well. But we did see a lot of the breakdown just because they were younger, a lot of the breakdown with that team. But I think it's one of those two teams for me. I mean, it's a very safe answer, but I think it's either the Bills or the Bengals for me.
Abby?
The entire AFC East minus the Patriots. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to disagree with Nigel. The Bills, I don't know if they finish. I mean, I'm going to consider it as we get close to the season. I don't know if I give them the number 1 spot in the AFC East. We can talk about that later, but I don't even think they finished first this year. And honestly, I mean, the Bills last season, they got trounced by the Cincinnati in their home field.
Yeah, it's bad.
In the cold. Dude, it wasn't even a game. And they struggled against, no one's going to talk about, they struggled against Miami the week before. And honestly, I'll always say this, the Jets defense is too much for the Bills. It always will be. The Bills are going to have the most competition in the AFC East than they've ever had this coming up year. Yeah. But I think for me, the obvious answer was the Bengals. And I mean, they faced them, two times in the last AFC Conference Championship Finals. The games have been won by a margin, by a slim margin.
Close.
And I think that the Bengals are the only team that the Chiefs would ever really be concerned about. And honestly, now I feel like, I don't know if you saw the interaction between it was Jamar Chase, and he was like, Mahomes who? And then Mahomes with the rings. And so I feel like the Bengals got a little chip on their shoulder. You know what I mean? So, and I feel like they want the Chiefs. And that's
too bad it's not a championship.
I know. Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna go Bengals.
Caleeb, what do you got as the number one threat to the Chiefs this year in the AFC?
I'm gonna be honest. It's my boy Aaron in those green, in that green machine. I'm telling you. Here's why. They got a defense that can match against anybody. So that's the foundation. And I believe Aaron Rodgers is still and really the best quarterback in the NFL. And now he has a squad that's going to allow him to show that. I watch. Everybody talks about Patrick Mahomes. He's phenomenal. Aaron Rodgers is better. He just has never had those kinds of weapons that Mahomes has had for years. And one of the greatest coaches to ever pick up a whistle in the history of the football league. He's had his entire career. That means something. Okay? So I think now Aaron is ready. He has a defense that can actually stop somebody, and he has weapons now at his disposal. I think he's got a great line that's going to protect. They're not the best. They're not our line in Philly, but they're no slouches. And I think they're going to protect him long enough for him to work his magic. And I think all them young boys, they can't wait to show him how good they are. They're ready to build their names off of him. You know what I mean? So that is why I think the Aaron and the Green Machine are the biggest threat to the Chiefs. And the Chiefs, and I know deep down, that's who they're really looking at. They're used to the Bengals. They know that. They ready for them. They know what the Bills gave them their best shot 2 seasons ago in that epic. It's still the greatest playoff game I've ever seen in my life. That game between the Bills and the Chiefs, that back and forth. Josh Allen cemented himself as I was like, that dude is I don't care what nobody said. That is a quarterback right there. But I agree with you guys. They got a little too many holes and they choke in times that they shouldn't. So there's an issue there. And then you see it played out when my man refuses to come to the mandatory workouts and all that. That's not good. That's something internal that is not fixed. I don't care if Ja Morant goes to Miami for 3 days and thinks now he's cured of his gun issues, which we all knew ended up not being true, which we all knew it wasn't then. I think it's the same thing with this. I don't think the Bills are in the position emotionally and mentally, internally as a squad to win a Super Bowl. So I think the Jets are. I think they're ready and they're going to be there. The Chiefs could still win, but I think it's the Chiefs and the Jets in the AFC Championship. And I would pick the Jets to upset them.
Ooh. Notice, you are noticed, Jets. You got to come through.
And then I see them losing to the Eagles in the Super Bowl.
Green on green.
Notice right now, because Cuddy was just calling it out. The Jets to go, but it's going to be the Eagles to finish.
I'm going to go with the Jets too. And for a few reasons.
Nobody's surprised. Nobody's surprised, man.
Yeah,
Nobody's
you know
surprised.
you were going to pick that.
You might as well just finish the pod now, bro. We all knew.
The biggest threat to the Chiefs is the 49ers and Sam Darnold.
Well, no, we're only talking AFC teams. I think they're the biggest threat to the Eagles. But
Frisco is the biggest threat to us, 1,000%.
Especially with Sam Darnold at the helm. But back to the AFC.
It's over. It's over.
I'm telling you guys, look, that's a conversation for another day. But for right now, the AFC, the Jets are the team to beat. That are the biggest threat, I think. And this isn't also a conversation for another day. But I'm going to give you a little hot take. Is I don't even think the Bills come in second place in this division. I think they're going to take a little step back and just with a caveat. If Tua stays healthy all year, which is a big if, I get it, it's a big ask. If he stays healthy this year, I think they finish in second, the Dolphins, over the Bills. And it'll be, listen, they'll be the best third place team probably in history, but I do think they finish in third. But I do think the Jets are the team for pretty much the same exact reasons that Caleeb said. The defense can play with anybody in the league. If there's a defense that you want that the Chiefs don't want to face, it's got to be the Jets, right? I mean, they match up just so well. Young receivers, young improvement this year from where it was last year because the people that were hurt are going to be back this year. So, I mean, obviously they got to stay healthy, but if you take injuries out of the equation, I think a healthy Mekhi Becton, a healthy AVT, I think Laken Tomlinson, he had such a poor first year. He's a better lineman than that. So I think he's going to have a better year just because he's better than when he played last year. So I expect him to be better this year. Also might have been part of he came here and the rest of the line was shaky because of injuries, and that might have been what hurt him. I love the rookie center that we got. I think he's going to be fantastic.
Oh, I love him.
I think he's going to be great. I think he's nasty. I think he's exactly what you want. Jets have always had good centers. It's only these last couple of years that we didn't have a top flight center. But if you look at the Jet history, they've always, and I know what's the big deal about a center. That's an important piece. It's the guy who runs that up. It's the guy who runs that offensive line. Look how important Jason Kelce is to Philly. So we've always had as the Jets. I mean, listen, a lot of teams can say we've always had good quarterbacks. We get to say we've always had good centers, but we've always had all four centers from Mangold to Mawai to Sweeney for years. And he's going to be that next guy. And again, look at our running game and look at our receivers. I think we have a nice group of receivers right now, the best we've had in years. And I'm telling you right now, look out for this kid Izzy, the fifth round pick.
Akanamanda or something like that.
Wakanda forever, whatever. I can't pronounce it. I'm telling you right now that he's a fifth round pick. He's going to be he's going to be a perfect complement to Brees. I feel bad saying because there's some other good backs on this team that I think are going to slide down the depth chart because of this rookie. But I think he's that good. So I have them as the team too to beat the Chiefs. So I'm a little disappointed in Abby because I thought Abby was going to go Jets and not leave me hanging.
No, my first original answer was 3 out of the 4 teams of the AFC East, which does include the Jets, because I easily think the Bills can be a threat, the Jets can be a threat, and Miami's also going to be a threat too. I don't think I don't think the Chiefs have a shoe-in to win a Super Bowl. They don't.
I agree. I think they did last year because there was a bunch of teams not really ready to compete with them last year.
Mm-hmm. And no. What happened was everybody thought they weren't going to be anything because they lost Hill. They thought Hill was that important to that offense. The key to that offense, outside of Patrick Mahomes, is a tight end by the last name of Kelsey.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That is the key. If they lost Kelsey, they would not have went to the Super Bowl even with Hill.
Yeah. I agree.
So that's what that is.
The Chiefs have proven you can put anybody there in that running and that wide receiver spot, and they'll be just fine. Right. But I think I think the Jets just happen to match up really good against them, good against that offense with their defense. So, but guys, that's gonna do it for today's show. So let's go around the horn. Abby, last words of the week.
I will take back my statement on the threat to the Chiefs, and I'll go ahead and say Jets now. You want to call me out for my bias? I'm like, you're right. It is the Jets. But the thing is, you told me about Garrett Wilson that was my bias was showing there too.
I know. I apologize, but I do think the Jets are the team. But all right.
So that's my final thought.
There you go. Nigel, last words.
There is a forecast for rain here in Toronto, and you know what? It's coming up. It's supposed to come up for the weekend. It's not going to deter me because I'm going to have a great time regardless. Let the rain come because you know what? I just bought 4 hats.
There it is.
Hey, can we get a hat that says George Christ? Can we get a George? Can you design a George Christ hat for Caleb?
Abby, I don't know if you heard about this, but like Caleb just dropped the joke of all jokes on the pod yesterday or 2 days ago. And listen, you have to listen to the pod, but he ended up saying
go back and listen.
Yeah, it has a brother named George Christ, and I lost it. I was a rat for the rest of the pod. It was such a great joke. I'm going to work on it, and then I'm going to show you guys the design next time I'm on the pod.
There it is.
Yeah.
Caleb, last words.
As always, everybody, spread love is the Brooklyn way. Have a fantastic weekend.
Guys,
beautiful and sunny in Southern LA today, baby.
All right, settle down.
It's like 108. It is 108 here in Phoenix.
Okay, you know what, guys?
Nigel, those Southwesterners have no respect for Northeasterners.
None. You know what I mean? None. I like the rain, by the way. I like it.
It builds character, the rain, right? Guys, have a great today, a better weekend, and we will see you on Tuesday.
Wow, there it is.
Later.
That's the pop off for today, folks. Thank you to all of our listeners, as well as our producers, Patty Puddles and Fareed Kameo. And make sure you tune in tomorrow to hear what these hooligans will pop off about next.